Greetings. Welcome to the lecture on safety measures in some construction activities. I am Dr. G. Sankara, Professor and Head of the Department of Civil Engineering, RR Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Safety and health of the employees, workers in the construction plays very prominent role because the construction activity involves lot of materials, different varieties of materials, varieties of construction equipment, small, big, heavy machinery, tools, and also lot of human resources are employed in the construction industry. Hence, the health and safety of the workers is very important. Let us see in this lecture how to protect the health and safety of the workers engaged in construction activity in some particular specific activities we will study here. So we will study the safety measures or precautions in explosives, drilling and blasting, hard bituminous works, equipment operation, storage of materials. Explosives. An explosive is a substance or a mixture of substances when initiated suitably results in violent release of energy in the form of a shock wave, accompanied by extremely rapid conversion of the explosive into a large volume of gases at high temperature and pressure. So it involves a chemical substances and it releases lot of energy, gases at high temperature and pressure, etc. And it can cause lot of injuries, health problems, and sometimes in extreme cases deaths also results from the mishandling of the explosions. Every individual associated with explosives has to take due care while handling explosives because mishandling may subject them to undue spark, flame, shock, impact, friction, and static charge may also lead to their initiation, resulting in the accidents. So we will study, there is a lot of literature available, but here we will focus on the precautions published by the Petroleum and Explosive Safety Organization, PESO of India. So during the storage and usage of explosives, what are all the do's? Store explosives only in licensed magazine. Magazine is a storage place. It can be a box, it can be a compartment, it can be a room, anything which is specifically designed or designated for the storage of explosives. Always maintain magazine in good condition. Always keep gangway of 60 centimeters, that means walkway spacing for operations between stack of explosive boxes and the wall. Get all lightning conductors on magazines tested for continuity and resistance once in a year. The resistance of lightning conductor should less than 10 ohms. So they should be, lightning conductor should be periodically checked and verified. Mark license number and validity prominently on licensed premises. Whatever is the license number and expiry period, validity period of the licensed premises should prominently displayed. Mark 12 mm thick red line 2.5 meter above floor level inside the magazine and do not stack explosive boxes above it. So keep the height of the explosives maximum 2.5 meters Don't stack them above 2.5 meters. Provide fencing at a distance of 15 meters all around from the magazine. Keep the fence area free of vegetation. Always keep stock of explosives within licensed capacity. How much capacity is permitted, only that much should be stored. Means the tonnage, the in kilos or number of boxes or number of explosives, etc., should be limited to the licensed permitted capacity. Always issue old explosives first. First in, first out policy. Which you receive first should be issued first. Provide security guards around the clock. Keep security guards shelter at a distance of 30 meters from the magazine. Always sell explosives to person firm having valid licenses. So engage or deal with only persons having license to transact in the explosive business. Always report loss, theft or short receipt of explosives to control of explosives and police. So finally it should be brought to the police of local area police any theft, loss, etc. Always take precautions to prevent mechanical impact of any hard object with explosives. So any hard object shall not be dropped or hit hardly to the explosives. Always employ certified blaster for blasting operations. Mark danger explosive and turn off radio transmitter of the at the site. So these marks like it is danger, dangerous explosives, don't use radio transmitters, turn off radio all this should be prominently displayed at the site. Sufficient warning likely display of red flag, whistle sound shall be given to public before blasting. Also display blasting time. So blasting time should be displayed and also sound or alarm or whistle etc. should be blown before starting of the blasting. Suspend blasting operations during thunderstorms. Blasting schedule should be arranged in such a manner that all holes charged with explosives are immediately blasted on the same day. In case for any reason such charged holes cannot be blasted on the same day, these sleeping holes charged with explosives should be properly guarded from a suitable safe distance till the same are blasted. As far as possible, which are all charged into the holes, explosives should be blasted on the same day. If it cannot be done and it is to be postponed, then proper precautions to be taken till they are blasted. Always return unused explosives after day's work to the magazine before sunset. Respect explosives. Then coming to the don'ts during the use of explosives. Don't sell explosives to blaster on the strength of the shot firers permit. Blasters' abilities are not the valid grounds to sell the explosives. Explosives should be sold only to the certified persons, licensed persons. Don't sell explosives to unauthorized persons. Don't undertake construction of building for manufacture or storage of explosives unless you obtain a construction approval from licensing authority and NOC from district magistrate. So anybody who is having a valid license should only construct the storage facility or do the manufacturing work of the explosives. Don't abandon any explosive material after use at site. They should be properly taken care of. Don't store explosives outside the magazines. Don't use sparking tools. Don't drop boxes of explosives. The boxes of explosives should be properly, slowly kept in the place. They shall not be thrown or dropped from a height. Never use bail hook during loading, unloading of explosive boxes. Don't cut explosive cartridges or change description of explosives. Don't deface markings on cartridge or box of explosives. Whatever is the nameplate, signboard, all those things on the explosive boxes shall not be any defaced or they shall not be hidden or they shall not be removed. Don't store high explosives and detonators together. Don't use misfired explosives, already which are misfired in the site, they shall not be reused. Don't use deteriorated or exuded explosives. Don't attach detonator to detonating card until everything is ready for the blast. All you should have a checklist and check everything is ready, then only detonator should be attached. Don't use mobile phones, pagers near place of storage and use of explosives. Don't use iron implements during preparation of charges, they may trigger some fire. Don't deliver explosives unless photograph and signature of the authorized persons are verified. Transport of now we will see the do's and don'ts while transportation of the explosives. Always maintain transport vehicle in good mechanical and roadworthy condition. Always carry 2 fire extinguishers in explosive van. In case of breakdown of explosive van, inform controller of explosive and local police so that they can help you in arranging the another van, and till the van is arranged they will help you in protecting the explosives. Always carry following documents during transport of explosives. These documents are related to the explosives: indent form, pass form, explosive van license, bill invoice, then your driving license documents. All these things should be carried always. 2 armed guards should always accompany explosives van during transport of explosives. In sensitive area notified by the Minister of Home Affairs, follow police armed guard shall be provided. Employ only trained driver and cleaner whose antecedents are verified by the police. His history of employment and his other history should be verified before employing the driver and cleaner. Always maintain 300-meter distance between 2 vans carrying explosives. Always load unload explosives only when explosive van engine of the vehicle is stopped, wheels choked, hand brakes applied. So loading and unloading should be done only after verifying all the factors. Always avoid routes passing through the center of dense habitation and municipal limits. Try to follow the bypass which will go outside of the cities, etc. Always give notice of accident to control of explosives, district magistrate and police, so that any criminal legal procedures they will help you in following. And also if any injuries and all those things happen, deaths, etc., they will help you in attending and resolving the issues. Don't stop explosive van unnecessarily for longer duration during transportation on road. Don't stop it unnecessary, or if you need to stop only briefly during transportation. Don't transport flammable substances with explosives. Don't transport detonators with any other type of explosives. Don't carry passengers while transporting explosives in van. So you should exclusively use it for transportation of the explosives, then 2 or 3 fire extinguishers, then security personnel, driver, cleaner, only these authorized persons, and explosives only should be taken in the van. Don't employ any person below the 18 years of age and who is in a state of intoxication, means who is using alcohol and drugs, who is mentally or physically challenged person also shall be avoided. Do not transport explosives in the night in the notified sensitive areas. So these are all the various precautions need to be taken in transportation, storage and use of explosives. Next topic is drilling and blasting. So this drilling and blasting, also a lot of literature is available, but here we will follow the ILO codes of practice, International Labour Office codes of practice, namely safety and health in building and civil engineering work. So it is exclusively For all the safety and health precautions to be taken in civil engineering and construction works, the discusses A to Z all the issues like starting from excavation to roofing, painting, varnishing, all electricity, everything is discussed. So few topics are selected from this reference book. So, drilling and blasting is the controlled use of explosives and other methods such as gas pressure blasting pyrotechnics to break rock for excavation. It is practiced most often in mining, quarrying, and civil engineering activities such as dam construction, tunnels, or road construction. So, to break and to remove the rocks, this drilling and blasting is done. Okay, let us see what are all the various provisions. Blasting caps, safety fuses, wiring, other blasting equipment should conform to specifications to be laid down in national or other official regulations or standards. So whatever is, every country has made its own regulations or standards, and the yeah, operator or the licensed person shall follow those regulations of the country. Dynamite should not be removed from its original wrapper until it is being loaded into boreholes. Detonating fuses, electric blasting caps, or caps properly crimped to safety fuse may be used in wet boreholes. So in wet boreholes, you can use detonating fuses, etc. As far as practicable, blasting should be done off shift or during breaking in the work. Whenever there is a break in the work, then preferably blasting should be done. As far as practicable, blasting above ground should be done in daylight. Night time is not preferable. If blasting above ground has to be done in the dark, roadways and pathways should be adequately lighted by artificial light. If blasting can endanger workers in another undertaking, in the nearby any undertaking is there and another company, another firm, etc. are there, then they should be informed about the timing, etc. and their agreement or their permission also should be taken for the blasting work. It should be acknowledged by them. Loaded borehole should not be left unattended after the end of the shift. Arrangement should be made for advanced warning to be given of the approach of any electrical storms. Suitable and sufficient means of egress to ground level should be provided in all shafts, boreholes, excavations, trenches, and all other places where explosives are handled above or below ground level. If the explosives are handled, then proper passageway or egress or access way should be provided. At an appropriate time before the final blasting warning, workers in the area should be removed to a designated safe place. An unmistakable, audible final warning should be sounded 1 minute prior to the detonation of explosives. After completion, when the person in charge has established that safe conditions prevail, and all clear should be sounded. So proper alarms, sounds, and audible sound should be, warning should be done before the blasting and after the blasting that it is complete. Then precautions during drilling and loading of the boreholes. Before a borehole is loaded, all workers not employed in the blasting operation should withdraw to a safe place. They should be sent to a safe place. No smoking or open flame should be allowed in the loading area. Blasting cap should not be crimped by biting. Biting shall not be done. Nothing shall not do anything with your mouth. Boreholes should be checked with a wooden tamping bar or similar device to ensure that they are safe for the insertion of the charge. Boreholes should not be drilled into other boreholes, misfires, or sockets. A new borehole should only be used for the this purpose. Tamping. Tamping material should not contain any hard ingredients such as stones, etc. shall not be used. Tamping bar should be of wood or other suitable non-sparking material. Otherwise they may cause fire. They may trigger fire. Charger should be tamped gently. It should be done slowly and gently, softly. Primers should not be rammed. Okay. Then precautions during firing. Person should be prevented from entering the firing area. All shots that could affect one another should be fired together or in a quick succession. They should be fired together or one after another in a quick succession in a very short time. All shots in the same round should be fired together, provided that this does not preclude delayed blasting. When necessary to prevent danger, surface to be blasted should be covered by a blasting mat, mattress, sandbags, etc. to arrest flying fragments. So proper precautions should be taken so that the broken pieces shall not fly to the near and far places. After firing, precautions. No person should return to the firing area until the responsible person has given a clear signal indicating that the smoke and fumes have dispersed. Blaster has carefully examined it for misfires, partly exploded shots, unused explosives, and other sources of danger, and found it safe. So the responsible persons will check all the things, then only remaining persons shall return to the site. When firing with fuses, if a misfire has occurred or is suspected, no person should return to the firing area for at least 1 hour or such a period of time left to the discretion of the responsible person authorized to give signal to workers to return to the firing area. So the responsible concerned persons, if they give the signal, then only the remaining persons shall be allowed to return to the site. So these are all the some precautions to be taken during and blasting. More detailed and elaborate some suggestions are given in the literature mentioned above, the ILO book. Next topic is hot bituminous work. So the precautions for this also taken from the ILO codes of practice. What are the precautions to be taken during the operation of the bituminous equipment? Tanks, vats, kettles, pots and other vessels for heating tar, pitch, asphalt and other bitumen material should be adequately resistant to damage by heat. So before using these things, they will be heated at very high temperatures. The equipment should be able to withstand that heat. Be capable of holding a full load without danger of collapse, bursting, distortion or tipping. So it shall be strong enough not to fall or not to danger of collapse, bursting, etc. Heating appliances for vessels should distribute the heat uniformly over the heating surface. Otherwise, some places will be overheated, some places will be underheated, some liquid. Buckets for hard asphalt, bitumen materials or tar should have the ball or handle firmly secured and a second handle near the bottom for tipping. 2 handles will be there. Vessels containing asphalt solutions are being heated. Generally, heating is done with a open lids. Gas and oil fired asphalt and tar kettles or pots shall be equipped with burners, regulators and adequate safety devices. Only electrically heated vessels should be used inside buildings. If it is done in any inside of the building, only electrical heated vessels should be used. If other types of heating are employed, special safety precautions should be observed. Operations. Asphalt should be kept dry. Workers employed at vessels or handling hot bitumen material should be provided with suitable protective equipment. Means cloth, shoes, gloves, cap, all the mask, etc. Vessels in operation should be kept at safe distance from combustible materials. When vessels are used in confined spaces, the gases, fumes, and smoke generators should be removed by exhaust ventilation, or if exhaust ventilation is not done, by forced ventilation, the gases shell etc. should be removed. Vessels that are being heated should be left unattended. Should not be left unattended. So they should be always under the observation of proper persons. Pieces of asphalt or other bituminous material should not be thrown into hot vessels so as to cause dangerous splashing. Any unwanted material shall not be thrown into the drums during heating, so that otherwise it will cause a dangerous splashing. Buckets should not be filled with hot asphalt or other bituminous materials to a level that might cause danger when they are carried or hoisted. Only to the marked levels they should be filled. Workers shall not carry buckets of hot bituminous materials on ladders. Next, what are all the precautions during the operation of the construction equipment? So now we have seen during precautions to be taken during the hot bituminous works. Next we will move to the next topic is precautions to be taken during the operation of the construction equipment, tools, machinery, etc. Let us see, in case of lifting equipment like hoist, cranes, winches, etc. Every crane driver or lifting appliance operator should be a competent, certified person. No person under the age of 18 should be control of any lifting appliance, including any scaffold, which or give signals to the operator. Precautions should be taken to prevent lifting appliances from being set in motion by unauthorized person. Shall not be allowed to operate the appliances. Lifting appliance operator's attention should not be distracted while he is working. Machinery. All dangerous various machinery used in the construction industry. All dangerous parts of moving machinery, including all flywheels, gearing, cone, and cylinder friction drives, cams, pulleys, crank arms, slide block, etc., to the extent prescribed by the competent authority, shafting and other transmission machinery also liable to present danger to any persons coming into contact with them when they are in motion. Should be so designed or protected as to prevent such danger. So these precautions should be taken while operating the machinery. Only reliable and competent person who have been given adequate instruction should be entrusted with the independent operation of transmissions and working machines, who is having a proper training, skill and certified person. Only machinery operation should not wear loose clothing, ties, scarves or jewelry, and cover loose hair that might be caught by moving parts. So these are all precautions to be taken by the operators regarding their clothes, jewelry, hair, etc. Before they are started, machines should be examined to ensure that they are in safe working condition, and in particular all adjustments have been done, working parts are properly lubricated, nuts and bolts are properly tightened, and all protective devices are in place and properly secured. Precautions in case of earth moving equipment like excavators, dozers, dumpers, spreaders, etc. No earth moving equipment should be started up until all workers are on the clear. Cab of earth moving equipment should be kept at least 1 meter from a face being excavated. When cranes and shovels are traveling, the boom should be in the direction of travel and scoop or bucket should be raised. Bucket shall not be dragging on the ground. Buckets or scoops or shovels and cranes should not be loaded when the equipment is traveling. Loading also shall not be done when it is in movement, traveling. Earth moving equipment should not travel on bridges, viaducts, embankments, etc., unless it has been found safe for it to do so. So these structures, while traveling on those structures, proper precautions should be taken whether it can carry the load of the weight of these or the forces generated by the traveling of these equipment. And the last topic is storage of construction or building or civil engineering materials, proper health and safety precautions to be taken. This topic is taken from the IS 7969-1975 Safety Code for Handling and Storage of Building Materials. So much other literature is also available. Stacking and piling, material shall be segregated as to kind, size and length and placed in the neat orderly piles that are safe against falling. So what are the various materials? They should be separated, segregated according to their size, shape, length, weight, etc. And so they shall be stored such a way that it should not fall down or roll down or spread on the ground like that. If the piles are high, they shall be stepped back at suitable intervals in height. Piles of material shall be arranged so as to allow a passageway of not less than 1 meter width in between the piles, walkways, or for operation, etc. The clear distance between the piles should be 1 meter. All passageways shall be kept clear of dry vegetation. There shall not be any vegetation. Material shall be stacked on well-drained foam and underlying surfaces. The surface shall not be a weak or loose surface where it is stored. It should be a strong, firm surface. Material shall not be stacked so that they shall not induce unnecessary stresses on walls or other structures. So they shall not be leaning to the walls and other structures and cause extra stresses in those structures. Material shall be stacked in such a manner as not to constitute a hazard to passerby. So nearby persons living or residential or commercial establishments, etc., in the nearby areas, or persons who are moving in those areas, they shall not be affected, their health, etc., because of storage of the materials. If it is to be done in that place, proper warning signs should be displayed, like red lights, etc. Posting storage areas. Appropriate signs shall be placed at all storage locations where special conditions exist or where special precautions are necessary. Proper signboards, etc. should be displayed. Now, storage of timber. Timber shall be stacked on unyielding and level dunnage. Means generally on the ground. Again, some timber pieces or timber logs are kept and the timber is stored on those dunnage. So it should be a strong. Cross strips or cross piling shall be used when the pile is more than 1 meter high. Top of each pile shall be kept as level as possible when the timber is being removed. So preferably it should be removed from the top and other pieces shall not be disturbed while removing it. No nail shall be allowed to protrude so as to cause any injury hazard. There shall not be, if you are storing any used timber, etc., you should see that are there any nails, etc., and if it are there, they should be removed. Then storage of cement, lime and pozzolana. Stacking shall not be higher than 15 bags. If the stack has to be more than 8 bags high, bags shall be arranged in header and structure fashion. That is, alternate layers of lengthwise and crosswise, so as to tie the piles together to lessen the danger of toppling over. 15 bags is the generally limit, and if you are storing more than 8 bags, you should have store them lengthwise and crosswise alternatively. Bags shall be removed uniformly from the top of the piles to avoid tipping of the stack. This applies to all the materials. Generally, it should be removed from the top. That means here it is last in, first out. Silos. Bulk cement and pozzolan are stored in silos or bins may fail to feed to the ejection system. When necessary to enter into a silo or bin for any purpose, ejection system employed shall shut down and lock out. So it should be, if you want to do any storage or repair etc. of the people want to enter into the silos etc., they should be shut down and locked out before these operations. When necessary for workmen to enter such a storage area, he shall wear a lifeline with another workman outside the silos or upper attending the rope. So 2 persons should be minimum there. If one person is going inside, he should have all life security tools with him. Another person should be waiting outside to protect that person in case of any accident. Lime. Unslaked lime shall be stored in a place inaccessible to water, and because of fire hazard shall be segregated from the combustible material. So in cement and sand also water or moisture should not be allowed to enter. Then sheet glass and fiberglass. They shall be stacked on edge with suitable supports on the edges. Glass edges shall be covered or protected to prevent injuries to workmen passing by, because glass can cut or cause injuries just by touching. Proper precautions should be taken so that they shall not damage the parts of any person's body. Waste glass piece shall be stored or disposed of in such a manner as to avoid injuries to workmen. Then piping material. Pipes. Pipe shall be stacked on solid level sills and contained in a manner to prevent spreading or rolling of the pipe. Rolling of the pipe shall not occur. Where quantity storage is necessary, suitable packing shall be placed between successive layers to reduce the pressure and resulting spreading of the pipe. Piling and poles used in the scaffolding etc. Piling and poles shall be carefully stacked on solid level sills, shall be to piled and blocked as to prevent rolling or spreading of the pile. And also there shall not be any fire hazard because of these wooden poles. Fire hazard. Storage area shall be maintained free of vegetation and flammable materials. Storage of reinforced and structural steel. Reinforced steel is generally what is used in the RCC concrete works. Structural steel is the steel used in the steel structures. Reinforced steel shall be stored according to length, size and shape, and shall be piled in such a manner as to prevent tipping or falling. Steel shall be stored in a solid foundation utilizing lagging as necessary to ensure stable piles. Safe access should be there. Adequate spacing shall be maintained between piles to ensure safe access. Then coming to the structural steel. There also you should be segregated and stored according to their size, dimensions, weight, etc. Carefully piled to prevent sliding or tipping. Similarly, how to store the precautions to sand, gravel and crushed stone. Location of stockpiles. Stockpiles of these materials shall be located to provide easy access for withdrawing. It should be very near to the working site because they require short time, heavy quantities, etc. They should be kept as near as possible to the working site. Superimposed loading should be checked. Material shall not be piled against walls that will be endangered by thrust, nor along the sides of any excavation or on the top of an embankment so as to cause slips. So superimposed loading should be checked properly and they shall not cause any stresses in these structures or embankment, etc. Paints, varnishes and thinners. Method of storage. Paints, varnishes, lacquers, thinners and other flammable materials shall be kept in a properly sealed or closed containers. Okay, they should be sealed and closed. The container shall be kept in a well ventilated location. There is a lot of ventilation should be available, free from excessive heat, smoke, sparks, or flame. Unlimited storage areas. Limited storage areas. Paint materials in quantities other than required for daily use shall be kept stocked on regular storage place, which are used in use or which requires within 1 or 2 days shall be kept in the site. Remaining should be stored separately. Clean up. Paint scrapings and paint saturated rags and debris shall be removed daily from the premises and therefore destroyed by burning at a safe place. Ventilation and lighting. Ventilation adequate to prevent the accumulation of flammable vapors to hazard levels of concentration shall be provided in all areas where painting is done. When electric lights, switches, or electrical equipment are necessary, they shall be explosion proof design. Fire protection. Buckets containing sand shall be kept ready for use in case of fire. Either fire extinguishers or buckets of sand shall be available. Fire extinguisher when required shall be of foam types confined to IS 933 1967. Fire extinguisher should meet the requirement mentioned in that code. Spray painting. No smoke or open flame expose the heating elements. Other sources of ignition of any kind and shall be permitted in areas or rooms where spray painting is done. So no smoke or flame etc. is allowed, is permitted in areas of rooms where spray painting is being done. Heating. When heating is done, confined spaces where flammable explosive vapors or explosive vapors may develop. Any necessary heat shall be removed through ductwork, remote from the source of flame. So that is the precaution to be taken in the heating condition. Then storage of bituminous emulsion road tar. No stack shall exceed 100 drums. A safety distance of 6 meter minimum shall be between stacks. So that is the 100 drums is the maximum and 6 meter minimum distance should be provided. Drum position. Drum shall be kept stacked on their sides, so that they should be kept on the sides, not vertically, because otherwise water will accumulate on the lids and can spoil the containers. Stack height of stack shall not exceed 3 meters in this case. Flammable materials. Also how to store the flammable materials like petroleum, kerosene and other material. Workmen shall be required to guard carefully against any part of the cloth becoming contaminated with flammable fluids. So clothes should be protected of the worker. They shall not be allowed to continue work when their clothing becomes so contaminated. Clothes has contaminated, he should be relieved from the duty for that day. Bulk delivery and storage of petroleum products requires the same care in identification and particular attention to fire hazards during handling. Then storage. Outdoor storage of drum requires some care to avoid contaminations. Moisture and dirt in hydraulic brake, transmission fluid, gasoline or lubricants. Any lubricants may easily cause malfunctioning or failure of equipment when with the possible danger or personal. The storage area should be free of accumulations of spilled products, debris and other hazards. Compressed gases and petroleum products shall not be stored in the same building. These are also comes under the flammable materials. In the same building or close to each other. Bulk storage. For bulk storage of petroleum, kerosene oil and the like storage shall comply strictly with the specifications given in the petroleum rules. As I told you, for every operation generally each country has given its own standards, regulations, etc. First they shall try to follow those rules and regulations. Fire extinguishing equipment. Appropriate and adequate fire extinguishing equipment shall be provided at all storage locations irrespective of whatever material it may be. Bulk storage depots. While flammable and combustible materials are stored in the bulk for a considerable period in the automatic fire alarm of suitable designs shall preferably be initiated. Where flammable and combustible materials are also stored in the bulk for considerable period of automatic fire alarm of suitable. So automatic fire alarms also shall be employed in the storage of flammable materials. Workers handling excavated earth from foundation, particularly if the site happens to be reclaimed area or marshy area, shall be protected against infection affecting for exposed portions of the bodies. So this is another precaution they should be taken. Infections particularly during the earthworks, during rainy seasons, workers may likely to get infection and also they spread easily to all other workers. So proper precautions should be taken against these infections, fevers, etc. Thank you. Thank you very much. So in this lecture we have discussed the safety measures and precautions to be taken in some important construction activities and storage of the construction material. Thank you.